caught the eye of an NBC producer, and they just cold DM'd the account, the Photo Finish account on Twitter, and said, hey, can you guys make simulations? Basically around 2016, 2017, the original mobile Photo Finish was out and was doing pretty well, and caught the eye of an NBC producer, and they just cold DM'd the account, the Photo Finish account on Twitter, and said, hey, can you guys make simulations? Can you make 3D simulations of races? And I was like, of course, which we couldn't, but of course. I started a conversation with NBC at that time and basically went through this. They were going to have a segment on their Kentucky Derby broadcast where the announcers predict who wins, and then they have a 3D version of it, right? And so she reached out, asked if we could do it. I said, of course. We actually couldn't, but I knew that I could make it happen in time if needed. And she eventually just said, we've got this other team that does it. Reach out if anything changes. So it's like, bummer. And they show the broadcast that year. I'm watching the Derby. They show this 3D simulation and it looks horrible. It's like the horses are passing through each other. It looks like a PlayStation 1 game. So I immediately DM back at her. I was like, just so you know, I would do better than that. If you're still interested, I'm here. And she wrote back immediately, yes, please. Can you do Preakness, which is 2-3 weeks after Derby? And apparently it had been kind of a disaster to even get that one done. It was just kind of a nightmare. So from that point forward, that was a huge crunch. I was up till 6 a.m. Everything was going wrong. There's all these great stories there of even trying to upload the video to NBC. My internet wasn't fast enough. So I had to drive to the AT&T store and sit outside in the rain and upload it. All these to make the Preakness one. But I was like, yeah, of course it does that. That's what it was. But it's one of those things you're like, I'm going to do this no matter what. I will pull this off. NBC. And so that became sort of the start of that partnership. We pulled it off. It was much better than their previous provider. I don't even know where they were, but I was in the same time zone. We were all cool. Everybody was, getting along. And so for years, we became that provider of just once a year, I would create the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont sim, assuming they needed it. Some years they would be like, oh, we're not going to do that on this year or whatever. But